Flow Wisdom presents Think Like a Monk by Shetty. Book summary.
Think like a monk. Never before have so many people been so dissatisfied or so preoccupied with chasing happiness. Our culture and media feed us images and concepts about who and what we should be while holding up models of accomplishment and success. Fame, money, glamour. In the end, none of these things can satisfy us. We'll simply seek more and more, a circuit that leads to frustration, disillusion, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, and exhaustion. When you get stressed, what changes? Your breath. When you get angry, what changes? Your breath. We experience every emotion with the change of breath. When you learn to navigate and manage your breath, you can navigate any situation in life. More than 10 years after these initial studies, scans of the 41-year-old monk's brain showed fewer signs of aging than his peers. The researchers said he had the brain of someone 10 years younger. If you want a new idea, read an old book. Ivan Pavlov, Identity. It is better to live your destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. I am not what I think I am, and I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Our families, friends, society, and media are surrounded by images and voices telling us who we should be and what we should do. Don't shut out the people who love you, but also don't let their definitions of success and happiness dictate your choices. If you know your values, you have directions that point you toward the people and the best actions and habits for you. When we drive through a new area, we wander without values. We take wrong turns, we get lost, we're trapped by indecision. Values make it easier for you to surround yourself with the right people, make challenging career choices, use your time more wisely, and focus your attention where it matters. Without them, we are swept away by distractions. Observing and evaluating is crucial to think like a monk, and they begin with space and stillness. There are 3 ways you can actively create space for reflection. First, daily sit down to reflect on how the day went and what emotions you're feeling. Second, once a month, you can approximate the change by going someplace you've never been before to explore yourself in a different environment. This can be anything from visiting a park or library you've never been to before to taking a trip. Finally, get involved in something meaningful to you: a hobby, a charity, a political cause. According to the Gita, these are the higher values and qualities: fearlessness, purity of mind, gratitude, service and charity, acceptance, performing sacrifice, deep study, austerity, straightforwardness, nonviolence, truthfulness, absence of anger, renunciation, perspective, restraint from fault-finding, compassion toward all living beings, satisfaction, kindness, integrity, determination. Notice that happiness and success are not among these values. These are not values, they are rewards, the end game. The 6 lower values are greed, lust, anger, ego, illusion, and envy. There are always more ways to be pulled up than to be pulled down. Negativity. It is impossible to build honest on the unhappiness of others. When we criticize others, we can't help but notice the bad in ourselves. But when we look for the good in others, we start to see the best in ourselves too. Do not give your attention to what others do or fail to do. Give it to what you do or fail to do. Colleagues stopped trying to gossip with me altogether. We had honest conversations instead. Some trusted me more, realizing that I wouldn't gossip about them since I didn't talk with them. If there were people who thought I was just plain dull, well, I have nothing wrong to say about them. We report the aches and pains of the day rather than the small joys. We compare ourselves to our neighbors, complain about our partners, say things about our friends behind their backs that we would never say to their faces, criticize people on social media, argue, deceive, even explode into anger. Core emotional needs: peace, love, and understanding. Negativity, in conversation, emotions, and actions, often springs from a threat to one of the 3 needs: a fear that bad things are going to happen, loss of peace; a fear of not being loved, loss of love, or a fear of being disrespected, loss of understanding. F. Aim to feel that at least 75% of your time is spent with people who inspire you rather than bring you down. Do your part in making the friendship an uplifting exchange. Don't just spend time with the people you love. Grow with them. Take a class, read a book, do a workshop. Sangha is the Sanskrit word for community, and it suggests a refuge where people serve and inspire each other. The desire to save others is ego-driven. Remember, saying whatever we want, whenever we want. However, what we want is not freedom. Absolute freedom is not feeling the need to say these things. Revenge is the mode of ignorance. It's often said that you can't fix yourself by breaking someone else. Monks don't hinge their choices and feelings on others' behaviors. You believe revenge will make you feel better because of how the other person will react. But when you make your vindictive play, and the person doesn't have the response you fantasized about, guess what? You only feel more pain. Revenge backfires. Giving and receiving forgiveness both have health benefits. When we make forgiveness a regular part of our spiritual practice, we start to notice all of our relationships blossoming. We're no longer holding grudges. There's less drama to deal with. We're much more comfortable finding fault in other people and then forgiving it. We're not used to admitting guilt and taking responsibility for what we create in our lives. Fear. We spot, stop, and swap, observe, reflect, and develop new behaviors to replace the negativity in our lives, always striving towards self-discipline and bliss. When you stop feeling so curious about others' misfortunes and instead take pleasure in their successes, you're healing. The less time you fixate on everyone else, the more time you have to focus on yourself. Fear does not prevent death. It prevents life. Buddha. Our brains keep us from entering awkward spaces, but by repeating a question rather than rephrasing it, we essentially corner our brain. We waste a lot of time and energy trying to stay in the comfortable bubble of our self-made biospheres. We fear the stresses and challenges of change, but those stresses and challenges are the wind that makes us stronger. We have 4 different emotional reactions to fear. We panic, we freeze, we run away, or we bury it. The first 2 are shorter-term strategies, while the second 2 are longer-term. Still, all of them distract us from the situation and prevent us from using our fear productively. A powerful question to ask your fear, again, when we talk about our emotions, we usually say we are that emotion. I am angry. I am sad. I am afraid. Talking to our fear separates us and helps us understand that the fear is not us. It is just something we're experiencing. Try shifting from I am angry to I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel afraid. A monk's mind practices detachment. We realize that everything, from our houses to our families, is borrowed. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? Write those down too. These combined lists are likely to be the most significant sources of pain in your life. Your fear of having these things taken away. Now start thinking about changing your mental relationship with those things to be less attached to them. Remember, you can still fully love and enjoy your partner, your children, your home, your money from a space of non-attachment. This is a lifelong practice, but as you become more and more accepting of the fact that we don't truly own or control anything, you'll find yourself enjoying and valuing people, things, and experiences more and being more thoughtful about which ones you choose to include in your life. Our fears are more numerous than our dangers, and we suffer more in our imagination than reality. Instead of judging the moment, he needed to accept his situation. Whatever came of it, focusing on what he could control. I worked with him on first slowing everything down, then acknowledging the facts of his situation. He had lost his job, period. From there, he had a choice. He could panic or freeze, or he could take this opportunity to work with fear as a tool, using it as an indicator of what truly mattered to him and to see what new opportunities might arise. Intention. Hindu philosopher Bhaktivinoda Thakura describes 4 fundamental motivations. Fear. Thakura describes this as being driven by sickness, poverty, fear of hell or death. Desire. Seeking personal gratification through success, wealth, and pleasure. Duty. Motivated by gratitude, responsibility, and the desire to do the right thing. Love compelled by care for others and the urge to help them. Find what you're afraid of most and go live there. When there is harmony between the mind, heart, and resolution, then nothing is impossible. Do you wish you could do that, or do you wish you could learn to do that? Because our search is never for a thing, but for the feeling we think the item will give us. Money and mansions are not the only wealth. Hoard the wealth of the spirit. Character is wealth. Good conduct is wealth, and spiritual wisdom is wealth. We must dig to the deepest why behind the want. We're most satisfied when we are in a state of progress, learning, or achievement. Everything you do in the day, from washing to eating breakfast, having meetings, driving to work, watching television, or deciding instead to read, everything you do is your spiritual life. It is only a matter of how consciously you do these ordinary things. We never say, "I wish I could be more organized and focused and could do the hard work to get that." We don't vocalize what it would take to get what we want. "I wish" is code for "I don't want to do anything differently." Alongside your to-do list, try making a to-be list. The best way to research the work required to fulfill you is to look for role models. If you want to be rich, study what the rich people you admire are being and doing. Read books about how they got where they are. Focus on what they did at your stage to get where they are now. We just need to remember that the less pure they are, the less likely they will make us happy, even if they make us successful. When people gain what they want but aren't happy at all, it's because they did it with the wrong intention. Purpose. In getting you where you want to be, meditation may show you what you don't want to see. When you protect your dharma protects you. Psychology of communication is fascinating. Studies by Albert Mehrabian shows that 55% of our communication is conveyed by body language, 38% is how it's voiced, and only 7% is the actual words we speak. That's a general guideline, but even situations where those percentages shift, the fact remains that most of our communication is nonverbal. Passion plus expertise plus usefulness equals dharma. There are two lies some of us hear when we're growing up. The first is, you'll never amount to anything. The second is, you can be anything you want to be. You can't be anything you want, but you can be everything you are. Pay attention, cultivate self-awareness, feed your strengths, and you will find your way. And once you discover your dharma, pursue it. All the other speakers were at the top of their fields and articulate. I started to have second thoughts about what I had planned to say and deliver it. Then I went through my breathing exercises, calmed myself down, and 2 seconds before I went on stage, I thought, just be yourself. Look for opportunities to do what you love in the life you already have. For every activity, answer the 2 questions fundamental to Dharma. Did I enjoy the process? Did other people want the result? There are no right or wrong answers. This is an observation exercise to amplify your awareness. Routine. Every day, think as you wake up, today I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. The emotion you fall asleep with at night is most likely the emotion you'll wake up with within the morning. Life messes up your plans. Tomorrow is not going to go as you visualize it. Visualization doesn't change your life, but it changes how you see it. You can build your life by returning to the ideal that you imagined. Whenever you feel that your life is out of alignment, you realign it with visualization. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. No matter how much we grow, we are never free of daily chores and routines, but to be enlightened is to embrace them. Yesterday is but a dream. Tomorrow is only a vision. But today well lived makes every yesterday a pursuit of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Being present is the only way to live a prosperous and full life. The location has energy. Time has memory. If you do something simultaneously every day, it becomes easier and natural. It becomes more accessible and natural if you do something in the same space every day. The mind. When the five senses and the mind are stilled, the reasoning intellect rests in silence. Then begins the highest path. Actual growth requires understanding the mind. It is the filter, judge, and director of all our experiences. But, as evidenced by the conflict I felt on my shower adventure, we are not always of one mind. The more we can evaluate, understand, train, and strengthen our relationship with the mind, the more successfully we navigate our lives and overcome challenges. An elder tells his grandson, "Every choice in life is a battle between two wolves inside us. One represents anger, envy, greed, fear, lies, insecurity, and ego. The other represents peace, love, compassion, kindness, humility, and positivity. They are competing for supremacy. Which wolf wins?" The grandson asks. "The one you feed," the elder replies. But how do we feed them? By what we read and hear, by who we spend time with, by what we do with our time, by where we focus our energy and attention. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy. I allowed myself to be angry at people I loved because I cared more about being right than being kind. When the parent isn't supervising, the child climbs on the counter near the hot stove to get to the cookie jar, and trouble follows. On the other hand, if the parent is too controlling, the child receives bitterness, resentment, and is risk-averse. As with all parent-child relationships, striking the right balance is an ongoing challenge. This, then, is the first step to understanding our minds. Simply becoming aware of the different voices inside us. Starting to differentiate what you're hearing will immediately help you make better decisions. There are 3 routes to happiness. All of them center on knowledge. Learning, progressing, and achieving. When you feel like you need to press pause, take 15 minutes to write down every thought that enters your mind. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to people we love. We all know the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat yourself with the same love and respect you want to show to others. Attachment brings pain. If you think something is yours or you think you are something, it hurts to have it taken away from you. Detachment is not that you own nothing, but that nothing should hold you. Ego. They are forever free who renounce all selfish desires and break away from the ego cage of I, me, and mine. Pride of wealth destroys wealth. Pride of strength destroys the strength, and in the same manner pride of knowledge destroys knowledge. If you are satisfied with who you are, you don't need to prove your worth to anyone else. To contemplate the difference between yourself and your persona, think about the choices you make when you're alone, when there's nobody to judge you, and nobody you're trying to impress. Only you know whether you choose to meditate or watch Netflix, to take a nap or go for a run, to wear sweatpants or designer threads. Only you know whether you eat a salad or a column of Girl Scout cookies. Reflect on you who emerges when nobody else is around, no one to impress, no one with something to offer you. That is a glimpse into who you indeed are. You are who you are when no one is watching. Perfect yogas are they who, by comparison to themselves, see the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. The arrogant ego desires respect, whereas the humble worker inspires respect. So, before judging others, pause for a moment and ask, am I finding fault in distracting myself or others from my insecurities? Am I projecting my weakness onto them? And even if I'm doing neither of those things, am I any better than the person I'm criticizing? Even if you think you already know a story, try to live it as a new experience every time. You can only be filled with knowledge and rewarding experiences if you allow yourself to be empty. If you inspire special treatment, it is because people appreciate you. Still, when you demand or feel entitled to it, you are looking for the respect that you haven't earned. The 2 things that we were told to forget are the good we've done for others and the wrongs others have done to us. Salt is so humble that when something goes wrong, it takes the blame, and when everything goes right, it doesn't take credit. Remembering your mistakes and forgetting your achievements restrains the ego and increases gratitude. A simple, effective recipe for humility. Failing meant they were trying, which was more important than the immediate result. Reflect instead of judging. Be curious. Don't pretend you understand. Ask clarifying questions. Ask questions that help you define practical steps toward improvement. These 3 steps, soliciting, evaluating, and responding to feedback, will increase your confidence and self-awareness. Gratitude. Gratitude has been linked to better mental health, self-awareness, better relationships, and a sense of fulfillment. If you've been through a breakup, if you've lost a loved one, if anything has hit you hard emotionally, gratitude is the answer. If thankfulness were a drug, it would be the world's best-selling product with a health maintenance indication for every major organ system. The salt is the pain of life. It is constant, but it tastes bitter if you put it in a small glass. If you put it in a lake, you can't taste it. Expand your senses, expand your world, and the pain will diminish. Don't be the glass, become the lake. Taking a broader view helps us minimize our pain and appreciate what we have. We directly access this more comprehensive view by giving. Relationships. You will always get it back whenever you give out any energy. Love, hate, anger, kindness, one way or another. Love is like a circle. Whatever love you give out, it always comes back to you. The problem lies with your expectations. You assume the love you receive will come from the person you gave it to. But it doesn't always come from that person. Similarly, some people love you who you don't provide the same love in return. Too often we love people who don't love us, but we fail to return the love of others who do. Trust is about intentions, not abilities. Accept people as they are, and you give them the chance to grow and prove to be more. We set ourselves up for long-term trust when we let it evolve naturally. Think like monks do, in terms of energy management, not time management. Conversation. Listening is one of the most thoughtful gifts we can give. There is no better way to show that we care about another person's experience. Listening intentionally means looking for the emotions behind the words, asking questions to further understand, incorporating what you've learned into your knowledge of the other person, doing your best to remember what they said, and following up where relevant. Listening also involves creating an atmosphere of trust, where the person feels welcome and safe. Often, we get crushes on others not because we genuinely love and understand them, but to distract ourselves from our suffering. When we learn to love and understand ourselves and have genuine compassion for ourselves, then we can truly love and understand another person. Love is the absence of judgments, but here are a few monk principles to follow. 1. Find new in the old too. Find new ways to spend time together. 3. Serve together. 4. Meditate and chant together. Until you heal the wounds of your past, you will continue to bleed. You can bandage the bleeding with food, with alcohol, with drugs, with work, with cigarettes, but eventually, it will all ooze through and stain your life. You must find the strength to open the wounds, stick your hands inside, pull out the core of the pain that is holding you in your past, the memories, and make peace with them. Service. If you expected one person to fulfill all of your needs, then, of course, there is a vacuum when they're gone. It follows that the only way to align appropriately with the universe is to serve because that's what the universe does. Remember that whatever you are giving was given to you. When you pass it on, you can't take credit for it. Service is the direct path to a meaningful life.
This was released from For the Sake of Education by Flow Wisdom. If the content was helpful, make sure to subscribe.